Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Self Improvement Project. This episode is slightly different. I'm actually releasing it straight away, and it's called The Story So Far, and it's about me. I'm doing this because as the podcast and the self-improvement project is growing, I feel obliged to, as a listener, as someone who is investing in me, you have a right to know about my story, my background, and why on earth you should listen to what I've got to say when you maybe don't know that much about me. So this, I'm just going to start with talking about the story and elaborating on some that I feel give good context and examples to the meaning of the self-improvement project and the feeling that these experiences have brung and brought to me that leads to where we are now. So, what am I all about? I'm going to go back to the time of your life where you just do what you love when you're a kid and you're a teenager. And everything that I did was related to sports. My main one was football, or maybe if you're from somewhere across the globe where that means something different, soccer, essentially. And all I did was spend my time, classic cliche of breathing, sleeping, living, football. And I loved it. It's one of those things that as an adult you think, remember those times where you just didn't used to think about what you would do every day and what you loved. But my point being in relation to this is it led me to study what I loved. I loved sports. I went on to study sports coaching and then sports science at college and then university here in Scotland. After graduating in further education, I got a job at the college that I went to as my first, I guess, full-time job in employment, you would call that. And this was where everything that I'd done within the coaching and science sphere of my studies is get closer to that realization and understanding of myself, where I feel like my purpose is to improve and to help others. So my first job was around helping and teaching students at this college to find work placements within the sports sector. After doing this for a few years, I then became a lecturer within sport and taught sport to all the students that wanted to study it at that time. And on top of this, a lot of what I spent my evenings and my weekends doing was coaching football to kids from the age of 5 all the way up to 15, 16. And that was my life for a few years. But the key moment here is shortly after I got this job as a lecturer, I became very suddenly disillusioned with work as a concept, career as in this is what I'm spending the rest of my life doing. I started to ask things, bigger questions such as, what is all this for? And this led me to start to experiment with different projects. The first one being around helping and improving sports coaches, helping them get clearer on what they want to achieve within sports coaching, because that's all I knew. And that's where I felt my expertise lay. After this, and I can talk a wee bit more about it further on with the self-improvement project, but as you get stuck into projects, the beauty of this is you get closer to where you're supposed to be. And during this process, and as you develop projects, you realise things that you don't like about them. Within sports coaching, in that sphere and that bubble that exists within the world, I absolutely despise the element of ego. Essentially, people doing things to get on a platform and become a bit of a guru, essentially. And I just didn't want to be that, so I wanted to remove that from my life. This led me to continue the project of helping others and improving others, where I then started to support people who were essentially in their 20s and help them improve their leadership skills. Anything from self-awareness to emotional intelligence, these areas that you might feel and see parts of within the self-improvement project, because I'm still passionate about them. But again, as you get deeper into these projects, you start to realise these things that you don't like, and leadership is a very corporate thing. Leadership is, again, there's elements of ego to it, where you're climbing a ladder to serve what? Apart from your own ego, what are you serving? And I like to describe this as not hitting the mark with a project that you want to do. However, it allowed me to deepen my interests within the field of improving others. And as you can probably see and sense, is a lot of my passion, a lot of my purpose in life comes through helping and improving others. A nice way to describe it that you've maybe heard before is it's what drives you and gets you out of bed each day. To go back to the timeline in 2018, I left education. So I got this job as a lecturer, I tried different projects, and I was ready to leave education behind. And I wanted to develop my business skills, so I moved into the recruitment sector, which the best way to describe it can be quite cutthroat. As another learning curve for myself and learning about my own self, I realised that this job emotionally and physically drained me, mentally, psychologically. It had quite a profound impact on that awareness of this is what I'm doing day to day. Maybe quite similar to that disillusionment that I talked about earlier. I felt very unhappy with this corporate element of the world, and that feeling of insignificance within it. During that time, I then managed to, and was lucky enough to find and land a dream job within the maths and English tuition sector. And this is the job that I still do day to day, and I would probably describe as my dream job. During this time, I continued to develop my passions within purpose and self-improvement, which led to me starting this podcast in May 2020. So at the time of speaking, we're about 18 months in, and I've been pursuing it ever since May 2020 with an episode a week, whilst being able to create content such as the email list, such as I'm starting to develop more episodes now for Patreon, I'm starting coaching in 2022. I'm writing my own courses. And all of that revolves and is about helping people improve. As I mentioned, I'm venturing deeper, I'm delving deeper into it. And I like to think that there's two reasons for this. The first one being, I completely resonate with the message of this project. All of these projects I've previously done have led me to this moment. And I'm completely validated by it. I completely believe in what I'm doing now because I've gone through that process. And the second reason is the feedback. The feedback that you guys have let me know is helping you. Sometimes a lot. Which has led me to develop these other things. And I'm really excited to delve deeper into them and learn about how these things are going to work and the deeper level of impact that I can have with these things, such as the courses, the extra episodes, the bonus stuff, the coaching, and getting to work with people like you in a more personal manner. And that really sets me alight. So, I hope that gives you a quick insight into who I am and what I'm about and where I'm going. And if you want to share your story with me, I would love to hear that. If you want to pop me an email, I'll leave it in the notes on this episode. But if you want to know anything more about any of the projects I'm pursuing, there's two ways you can sign up to my email list where I'll touch base every week, or you can visit the website that I'll pop in the show notes as well. So I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you all next time. Cheers.